How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? My name is RuffledRowlit. Let's get right into some Pokemon leaks, rumors, that kind of stuff. Let's get started. First things first, going to be this post by Ball Guy Leaks, who is an insider who shared some things about specifically, in this case, Pokemon Generation 10, which is the next Pokemon game that's most likely going to be announced literally now in February, on the 27th of February specifically, which is Pokemon Day. But here is a tweet that came out from Soul Silver, who's doing a bit of a theory. Somebody replies here saying, you should probably take into account the supposed leaked starters. Then somebody says, Ball Guy says their supposed leaked starters isn't them. He has been trustworthy lady, so it's possible it's wrong. Then he says here, I quite literally, one of them originated from a misunderstanding of one of my posts. And then somebody asked him, like, in this case, somebody asked, what does the game look like? Like, does it look good at least? He says, Titan with visually pleasing environments, much new Snap vibes, especially this. Now, if you do not know what this picture is a picture from Pokemon New Snap, or New Pokemon Snap, sorry, which was a kind of a remake-ish, like, sequel type game, based on the Pokemon Snap game from back in the day. Let's see, New Pokemon Snap. I think that's literally what it's titled. Yeah, New Pokemon Snap. So some of you guys may remember this because this game, and I remember playing it. I'm not a big fan of the whole concept of just taking pictures, but a lot of people were sort of expecting that the graphics of the upcoming Pokemon games would be a little bit more similar to this. Though I would say this game did look graphically a lot better, like, than most of the games we've seen from Pokemon. I think a lot of that mostly came from this ocean picture and this feeling of it looking very graphically, like, you know, sort of like, you know, the water just looked more reflective and stuff, which people kind of took as it looking a lot better, which, again, at that point in time, we kind of did value that a little bit more. But again, the game does look visually pleasing. It looks good. It looks sort of like, you know, what you would kind of expect it to look like. It looks pretty solid. So we can kind of expect this game, Generation 10, to lean in that same direction when he was asked about it, saying that pretty much gives up a similar vibe, which I think is pretty solid of an expectation to have then of what it could look like. So again, very solid. And this again is reaffirmed because he posted a few days ago saying, as in, somebody asked him, not 227, meaning we'll get news earlier than Pokemon Day. Bookmarking this to see if I'm right or if you're right or wrong. Your leakers are getting lucky about being right in the recent years, which is ridiculous because it's no lucky, nothing about lucky. Like, Ball Guy legitimately has sources, and there's been actual data breaches of Game Freak's files and servers, sorry, where files have been taken. So it's ridiculous to kind of doubt it. Also, keep in mind, the information they have can be either up to date or not up to date and could always change. That's the thing with this, the kind of like the reality of this kind of stuff. Things change. Things, you know, are not consistent. Like, things will change and go in different directions. So keep that in mind. But he says, as in, it won't be seen until after the day. And what is he referring to here? Well, basically, Ball Guy said not 227 when he was referring to the fact that we're going to get voice acting. He was saying ready, and then a picture of V, and then a monkey holding its mouth, aka voice acting in case of emergency, break the glass. Basically just implying that, you know, people have wanted this for a long time, and they're breaking that glass and finally giving it to us. And he says not 227, which 227 is referring to 2, which is February, the month, and 27, which is Pokemon Day, which is specifically the day when they do Pokemon announcements and big Pokemon presents, which we also know there's going to be a present on that day. I think it was literally confirmed through a Pokemon Masters leak that came out, which I don't think we need to know. We already know this is coming, but I guess for anybody that wasn't sure, here's basically like rumor has surfaced over the past 2 days regarding a celebrations event, Pokemon Celebrations, which is believed to be coinciding with the Pokemon Presents premiere. It is scheduled to start on the February 27th, 2026 at 2 p.m., which converts to 23 GMT plus in Japan. So nothing crazy there. But yeah, for Pokemon Masters data mine, a new event will take place on the February 27th, 11 p.m. JST, potentially confirming the timing on the Pokemon Presents. Furthermore, there are hints that this Presents may be longer than 30 minutes. Full details in the thread. And then I guess, I mean, in the thread, unless they're talking about this thread. Furthermore, oh yeah, here it is. Data indicates event end times of 1420 and 1430. This suggests that the 6.5-year anniversary trainer might make an appearance and implies that the Pokemon Presents broadcast will exceed 30 minutes. However, nothing is confirmed yet. So that's, you know what? I mean, hey, fair enough. That would be lovely if it's actually longer than 30 minutes. We can actually get through all the mobile games that need to be mentioned and get to the stuff that we all care about. But the reason I bring this up is to just, again, reaffirm that we know that that's coming. And according to Ball Guy, with the tweet we just looked at a second ago, that tweet pretty much is what he's saying here with the 227 is that we're not going to see the voice acting revealed on that day. So if you're expecting to see Pokemon voice acting in that particular presentation, don't expect it. It's not going to be there. It won't be there. It just, you know, it just won't. That's just how it is. And then somebody like kind of this guy interpreted it in a really bad way, which I don't know how he went there. But then in this same like tweet here, you know, he basically like answered somebody. He's like, hey, ball guys, sorry to bother you, but how is Gen 10 and Switch 2 going for Game Freak? Is the game a lot easier to work? And are they able to do a lot more than Switch 2? He says they haven't presented themselves, they haven't presented themselves as it being a big step due to hardware, and a lot of this could be done with optimization. As I said, richer shaders for ENVs, illumination effects for multiple Pokemon, and a giant saturation bump. So it's going to be a very colorful looking game. Then somebody says, to be honest, all of that plus the greater variety of assets and running at 4K 60 docked seems like a pretty big step up, though I guess not when you're comparing it to Scarlet and Violet Nintendo Switch 2 edition in terms of performance and fidelity. And then somebody has here said, I mean, it's going to be a better version of Nintendo Switch 2 Scarlet and Violet with better assets, environments, effects, shaders, and saturation. So don't expect the game to look much different in Scarlet and Violet in terms of generally visuals, right? Just expect like a lot of things like reflections on water, things like that. I think one thing I heard, and I'm hoping it's true, is that there's going to be a lot more foliage. Now, foliage is like, you know, leaves and bushes and, you know, grass and stuff like that. There's going to be more of those things. I'm hoping that those things, because again, there's nothing wrong with the visual style of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Like the actual visual style is not a problem. It has an anime aesthetic, which is completely okay. That's nothing wrong. The issue is that it just looks boring and flat because they don't do a lot of work to make the environments interesting. They don't add a lot of foliage. There's not a lot of trees that, you know, like add to the environment and a variety in the assets that are used. The goal is, and the thing I'd love to see is improve those things. And according to this, that's what they're going to do. Have better assets, better environments, better effects, better shaders, and better saturation to make it like the world look nice, to make it nice to explore, and it's visually going to look better, but don't expect it to be hyper realistic or some shit that you would see from like a Unreal Engine or something like that, like where it's hyper realistic graphics. That's not what it's going to look like, and that's never what it's going to be like, and not really what we want from Pokemon. I don't think Pokemon needs to look hyper realistic. That's kind of ridiculous, to be honest with you. All Pokemon needs to do is, frankly speaking, just make something that just looks nice and has the anime aesthetic. That's all you got to do. And there's enough games out there to do that already to prove that it's possible. But again, that was one of the things. We already did speak a little bit about Ball Guy's other tweets where he was tweeting about like these two. When somebody asked him like, we're a month away, could you reveal a little hint? And he posted Pokemon Blue and Green pictures like this, potentially implying the colors of these games, like, you know, that they're going to have like this color scheme, which again, we don't know. We'll just have to wait and see if anything comes from it, right? Also, Game Freak were testing a lot of like things like they were testing winds and waves. What? They were basically literally testing a wave like simulation of sorts in, you know, in Pokemon Winds and Waves, and also wind actually, you know, bushes and foliage and like leaves and grass and stuff like that reacting to it, which is, that's the stuff that like adds to the immersion, which is necessary, right? Which is cool. You guys can check this tweet out if you want to, from Rydog, if you want to go look at that. So it'll just stay there in case you guys are in the need of it. But yeah, also, according to Amino Tami, a former Game Freak employee seems to have finished his work. He appears to be repeatedly posting strange tweets again, just like the Scarlet and Violet age. I've been observing for a while. It seems Gen 10 is somehow related to volcanoes. Volcano equals a wave, I guess, and a regional wishy-washy. And then Ball Guy says, massive central volcano, anyone? Question mark. Because yes, there's supposed to be a giant volcano in the center of this region. And then someone asked here, so the massive island surrounded by clouds seems to have been replaced by this, huh? And he says, the same spot with futuristic resorts is among cable cars and absolutely massive trees further down the coast. Look out for it. And then it's just a picture of a tower of sorts. So we kind of seen a little bit of that, but again, it's all neither here nor there at this point. Just worthwhile bringing up that, you know, they are all hinting at stuff here again of a giant volcano in the center of the map, which we've seen stuff of. The next thing is a post from Nintendo. Apparently, the creators of Pokemon responded to the criticism of their game's graphics. The director of Beast of Reincarnation talks about Game Freak's philosophy. And this is, by the way, the director behind the upcoming game that is also made by Game Freak, the same people that own and make Pokemon. They're making this game, which I think looks gorgeous. I think this game looks gorgeous. It looks nice, visually pleasing, like very, very visually pleasing, and like, you know, like the kind of game like with the sort of aesthetic that I would expect from almost like a Souls-like that would come out like from like China. Like I think a good example would be what is it called? Zero Blade, Blade Zero, like Zero Blade. Not Zero Blade, jeez. Phantom Blade Zero, that's it, jeez. Phantom Blade Zero. I have literally a poster of it up there, and I'm confusing the name. Like, the kind of visual style you'd expect from a game like this, which, by the way, looks gorgeous. I got to play it in Germany, and it is fantastic. But that's kind of the game, you know, the sort of visual-looking game that they're working on over there for specifically, okay? We're talking specifically now, this game. They have those kind of graphics. But people have been criticizing them like, hey, why does Pokemon look like shit, whereas this looks really, really good? And apparently this is what they said. Criticism of the Game Freak's graphics is nothing new. The community has been pointing out for years, that the studio responsible for the main Pokemon games doesn't fully utilize the hardware, especially after the release of Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet. Now, with the recent announcement of Beast of Reincarnation, it's a new action RPG. The company has broken its silence and addressed the controversy. It was Kota Furushima, director of this new project, specifically this, unrelated to Pokemon, who addressed the issue in an interview with IGN and asked about the graphics of the new title and what the community has pointed out in the past. In recent statements, he explained the philosophy that guides Game Freak. He says, "What we aim for is to offer a very specific gaming experience, and visual fidelity and graphics support that experience. Everything integrated into the game serves that purpose. This includes things like bug fixes, optimization. Everything is there to enhance the gameplay and overall experience. Our focus is on that gaming experience, and part of that, of course, is ensuring it performs exceptionally well. But our primary focus is on conveying that experience to you and ensuring our vision reaches your hands and your heart." The community has been highly critical of the studio's graphics in the recent years and closely monitors everything they do, both within and outside of the franchise. These comments make it clear that the Game Freak's priority isn't making their games look better, but rather ensuring the graphics fit the experience they want to deliver, aka Pokemon fans will still play it no matter what. What's interesting about Beast of Reincarnation is that it was shown at the Xbox Developer Direct, has garnered attention precisely because it looks visually superior to the studio's usual offerings. Could something have changed internally? The title will arrive this summer on PC, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S. And although no confirmed Switch version yet, we'll see how the level of graphics and polish maybe potentially in the future Gen 10 games. It's interesting to see that this is how they speak of these things, but like the thing is, right? The Pokemon experience is so curated, like the Pokemon experience that you've been having for years now, is such a curated and specific journey that it almost like limits them in what they can do, because they have to do so many of these extra things that sort of bog down progress and bog down like time that could be spent on better things. But again, I'm not going to go too deep into that. It is what it is. I think that was some of the most important stuff to talk about. Also, apparently, a former Nintendo of America employee says Nintendo used to scold staff for games like Tomodachi Life not selling more in America, which is really crazy. Why would scold them like for that specifically? And also, what are they going to do about it? Like, that's such a weird thing. What are the like workers in like the US going to be able to do that except like pay for more ads? But apparently, yeah, there's a Nintendo Direct coming this week, and it's completely focused on Tomodachi Life, Living the Dream, a new installment in the franchise. Tomodachi Life was once one of the games that no one really knew what to expect when it came out to sales outside of Japan, but the title definitely took off. The expanded audience titles can be extremely tough to gauge, but it seems that the audience in Europe is particularly fond of, or at least open to these kinds of experiences. In some instances, it seems the game of this type garnered more sales in Europe than America, which led to the uncomfortable situation for Nintendo of America employees, which really is apparently Kit Ellis took the social media to comment on a bit of a discussion about Tomodachi Life Living the Dream. One social media user noted that the announcement of the Tomodachi Life Living Direct brought in all kinds of likes and engagement in Japan and America, while the social media reaction in Europe was quite muted. According to Ellis, while the engagement online for social media might be quiet, sales in the region for the title like this usually eclipse those of America. So it's interesting, right? It's so weird how like those numbers online don't necessarily always reflect things, right? Like they don't always reflect everything, which sometimes, like, you know, even somebody like myself, I would take a step back and realize that, you know, not everybody interacts with the online side of things. Just because you get likes on something doesn't mean that people are gonna care or go out and spend money on it. But I don't know. It's just funny to see because we do have also a most likely a direct coming out next week, potentially this coming week now. It's not confirmed yet, but it is rumored to be happening on the 5th of February. So we'll have to wait and see if that comes true. And we'll see how that actually turns out if it does happen, because I'm curious to see how this game is going to do. Again, it's going to be getting its own presentation and everything. So we'll see how that goes. I know it's a game that a lot of people are excited for. But it's interesting to see that, like, and I don't like that they're kind of angry at their employees for not pushing this game more to, like, I mean, if American audiences just don't want it, they just don't want it. You cannot force it on them if it's a game that just doesn't maybe to appeal to that specific market. But it is what it is. It's Nintendo at the end of the day. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be it for today's video. I want to thank you guys all for watching, and I'll be seeing you all in the next one. Peace out and bye-bye, ladies and gents.